gonna say I didn't want to say this. I absolutely do. There is no other way. So, plainly. Here we go. So, what's going on? What's going on? Good to see y'all again, folks. I'm gonna keep it short and plain. So, there was a verdict yesterday for Donald Trump. Guilty of all 34 counts. Let me say, over time, I've legit become a bona fide independent. I was a Democrat many years ago, and I changed affiliation to independent. I don't support either party. I cannot align myself with either party. And there's castigation over individuals that are independents in general. So I'm gonna say this quite plainly. I live in Philly. Philly is right next to South Jersey, right? There are a lot of things Donald Trump and his organization could have been charged with, convicted with, and the evidence is there. There are victims financially. There are businesses that have suffered at the hands of them and their business dealings in Atlantic City and New York City. Now, here's where I go with this. What frustrates me is the Republican Party seems entirely too cocky, period. Just how that rolls. Just entirely too cocky. Not thinking about a lot of stuff that they do. And the Democratic Party doesn't think beyond 5 steps. They think right now, right here, okay, we're going to be able to do this and this is going to be this. And so in a case where you can YouTube it to see it, where it's like, okay, yeah, well, these are hush money payments, okay, and this, and the other, and specifically a victimless crime. I know that phrase bothers folk because everybody made money as a result of X, Y, and Z, but here's the truth. 34 counts, and he's guilty of all 34. So there's no thought beyond a certain point. There are cases that could have been used to actually put Donald Trump away in jail. None of those cases were brought up. None of those cases have been discussed. None of those cases have actually been talked about in the ether outside the people in New York and the people in Philly or Atlantic City or around the area that actually have evidence as to this wrongdoing, that wrongdoing. Something Trump said, and everybody keeps forgetting that Dave Chappelle made a joke about it, and nobody wants to talk about what he said. Because he said in the debate, y'all remember the debate with Hillary, he says, she said, he doesn't pay taxes. And he said, then change the tax code. Nobody knows the tax code better than me. But you're not going to do that because your donors and everyone that's your friend, you take advantage of the same tax benefits that I do. So I say this. A lot of stuff came out whilst Trump was in office as president. What didn't happen was the country disappeared. Did y'all notice that? That we're still here. The country didn't disappear. The country didn't fall apart. The country wasn't completely destroyed. Interesting to see. Just one thing. But you don't want him to run. I can understand why. Because you talk about the word, like stupidity. Flies out that man's mouth quick than a mug. Faster than anything else. But things came out about both Democrats and Republicans that got put on Front Street for the first time ever that nobody wanted out. So as a result, right now, and it was true even during his presidency, you had Republicans and Democrats that didn't want him in the office, again. All of this has popped up. All of this took place. He gets guilty of this. There's no thought. You mean the real cases with real victims that are really struggling right now as a result of his business dealings in New York, in Atlantic City, parts of New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania that are really suffering right now. None of that was put up in court. In New York too, and none of that but hush money. So businesses, I got friends, I got family, kinfolk in Christ in New York that hold jobs and hold positions heavily influenced not just by Trump, but by other billionaires that reside in New York or have business dealings in New York. And they were all waiting for the verdict of this trial so that they can pull their business from it. So they got the verdict, they're going to pull their business from it. On the other side of it, there's no thought to it. If we had a legitimate crime, a more precise crime that really hurt people, that really screwed up people, we could look and we could say, oh, we got him. And you'd be absolutely right, and nobody would be against you in that regard. But we said rich people are the problem with this. We said that he's the problem with this. We said, let's lock up this guy who was going to run against the presumptive nominee being Joe Biden. Okay. And it's like, so what's the next step? Donald Trump had the chance when he became president to unite the country. He failed. He sucked. Joe Biden had the opportunity to unite the country. He failed. He sucked. And the country is more divided than ever. And now there are people, yeah! He's guilty! The Camden Church of Christ worships in the Collingswood Church of Christ building. Collingswood is a bit of a split, very much like Camden City. Camden City is split 50% black, 50% Hispanic. Collingswood is split 50% supporting LGBTQ, 50% Republican. That's the split. So if a conflict jumps out, three congregations that meet at 300 White Horse Pike could possibly be in danger because of someone's reaction to a trial. Let alone the entire world looking and saying, you convicted a former president. This is the first time in history it's been done. The whole world looking and saying, we can't take America serious. The whole world looking and saying, yeah, that much? Will President Biden pardon him? Well, let's see. President Biden actually, for all of his flaws, and everyone has flaws, but for all of his flaws, did one thing that the Democratic National Party did not agree with. They wanted to end the filibuster. Again, because they ended it in another chamber. I think it was the Senate. They wanted to end it in the House. They ended it already in the Senate, like, oh man, we're going to do this, and the other. And then when the Republicans took control of that particular House, then the reaction was, we need something to... Interesting. It's always interesting. It's always antiquated until they want opportunity. And so Joe Biden said, no, we're not getting rid of that in the House. I could have the houses mixed up in terms of which one had which and which one didn't. But like, we're not going to get rid of it. Like, well, why won't you support it? Because y'all idiots ain't thinking about right now we need it in that chamber. So y'all want to end it in this chamber. And so then years later when they got control of it and it's not our party in the majority, no, we need something. We going to cry again? There's no thought to it. So I sometimes go and I look and I say, well, January 6th, I knew people who were there in the police force. I knew people who were there that actually were for Trump. And a lot of them were like, shh, we out. We don't know what y'all doing. I don't know any that actually went in there on whatever tour, because at a certain point you could tell they were just going through the sightseeing. But then there was that revolt. And so you look at that and it's like, that mess happened because people aren't being heard. People feel like, I should say, they're not being heard. So what happens now? Is it okay for campus protests in support of Palestine to take place, but then campus protests because of Trump's guilty verdict? Is that okay? Because here's what's really coming to a head. What's permissible and what's not? Campus protests are absolutely permissible, unless, of course, it violates the campus policy, in which many cases it has not, until it's gone to an extreme. It's ironic that a lot of the people who have been in those protests aren't from each college, even at Penn. But are they, by the law, the Constitution, allowed to do that? Absolutely. But watch if there are protests. There was protests when the truckers were protesting New York. They were like, oh no, they shouldn't be doing that. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Is it okay to protest or not? I mean, because the law is the law, but what is it? That judge in New York, she also said the Second Amendment don't apply here, the Constitution don't apply there, then her judicial appointment doesn't apply either, but that wasn't said. It's like looking and saying, so what's going to happen now? He's going to go away and we're going to be fine. Like this wouldn't cause an issue. Hopefully people are just like, let's watch this play out. Let's see what happens. Let's not jump to conclusions. Lord Jesus, ammo sales about to shoot through the roof. And so the single mother who practices at the range maybe once a month, and she's just trying to earn enough to take care of her children and her household and her bills. Now she can't afford ammo because the prices spiked, because there's this it's about to happen, and now she's in danger. What's the thought process? Like, why the heck is anyone celebrating this? Moreover, how many people, avowed Christians, are not praying right now? Years ago, I said to the church, 2020, I said this was a pandemic. The Lord planned to use it to find out where your faith is. And I'm going to find this I find it very interesting, because what's about to transpire is we're about to really identify. There are folk who are celebrating, yeah, he's guilty. Cool. So, what are you praying? Are you praying for America, or do you hate America so much you don't want to pray for it? Because whether you don't love America or you do love America, no matter what God said if you're a child of God, God said, pray for it. How you figure, son? 1 Timothy chapter 2, 1. First of all, then I urge that entreaties, prayers, petitions, and thanksgiving be made on behalf of all men, comma, all men. What would all men be? The word there would be anthropos, so all humankind. Breakdown. For kings. He's not a king. You're correct. And all who are in authority, high positions, so that we may lead a tranquil and quiet life in all godliness and dignity. You want to live a quiet life? Right now, you best better be praying. Because regardless of how you felt about the verdict, to be honest, I looked at it and said, there are crimes that you really could get Trump for. Like, real crimes that really hurt folk. Some of y'all like, well, that hurt folk. No, you hurt the same folk that he hurt by doing the same thing he did. Well, we didn't pay no hush money. You're right. But you called the phone company and said, I need a new phone line for my house. It's for your business. And be like, is it business or residential? You're like, no, it's residential. But you only use it for your business. Who inflated what? Did you not do the same thing? You want to turn yourself in? Or better yet, do you have your own Netflix account? You got your own Apple TV account? Your own Peacock account? Do you have your own Disney Plus account, or are you sharing with somebody else? You might give them $1 or $2, but it's not your account, or you don't give them nothing. You just use their account, but it's not your account. You're not paying for it. Are you lying in the same way? Because let's be honest, that's the same thing that Trump has done. Oh, we don't want to talk now. So look, I urge you to do this. Regardless if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian, Green Party, another party, or you are an independent, I share this with you. If you claim Christ, 1 Timothy 2, 1 and 2. 1 and 2. That's your life right now. And if it's not your life, I challenge you. I challenge your faith. I challenge to see if you really about the Lord or if you just about a political party. Because I didn't vote for Biden. I voted for Joe Jorgensen, Libertarian candidate. I didn't vote for Biden, but I pray for Biden. I didn't vote for Trump. I actually voted for Hillary. I didn't want neither one of them in there. I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Hillary the first time. But I still prayed for Trump. Why? Because God can do what you and I cannot. Huh? what it's going to be? You about the business of the Lord, or you lying? Are you about the business of the Lord, or are you lying? Is your offering hush money? Because I don't really live this Christian life. I mean, what is it? God bless you. I'm out.